Well, I've been somewhat intimidated by all the beautiful visuals that everybody else has had, so I'm putting up Joseph Smith, and doesn't he look wonderful? It was a great thing for all of us in New York when he was gracing Old Slip, where he is there. Now, I'm not sure that I belong at a conference on apologetics for the church. When Scott Gordon invited me to give this talk last year, and I was here because my husband Richard had spoken, I asked him what topic he had in mind. He said that what was needed was a good defense of polygamy. But I didn't want to do that. I don't think of myself as an apologist at all. I think I look at the facts unflinchingly and say what they mean or suggest. I do not think that we do ourselves or anyone else a favor when we try to make the church look any better than it is. We come off best when we present ourselves as simple Christians who try to live good lives and do our best even when we don't succeed. We have wonderful things to share. Our loving community, our excellent programs, our access to personal revelation, our belief that our prayers are answered, our moderate way of life, our teachings that promise future improvement and eternal life, and those are the things that I think we should emphasize. In any case, when Scott Gordon reopened the question in March of this year, he suggested a different topic, something related to LDS women. Well, that's a topic I like to talk about, and I appreciate the opportunity that this invitation gives me to speak to you. I wrote about women in my new book, Contemporary Mormonism. This is what it looks like, where I tried to look unflinchingly at the situation and tell the honest truth. But what I think I say is not necessarily what people hear. When I submitted the manuscript, the man at the press who asked me to write the book said that it was much too favorable to the church. So I reworked the manuscript and set it in a cooler tone. When I examined all the hot-button issues, which I do, I tried to do it with distance and objectivity, trying to make everything descriptive and temperate rather than judgmental. So I was very interested in this review that was posted on Amazon.com. I also got some good reviews, but I'm reading you this one. Firstly, said this person, I have to say I did not finish this book. Not because of lack of interest or time, but because it was much too biased a work to read. The author clearly states that she is a Mormon and will use personal experiences and church doctrine in her book. But just saying that doesn't make it okay. I think there is a difference between using stories from one's own personal life and just outwardly promoting a cause. For the most part, she is an apologist. Especially concerning women and gays. For the latter, she says, the seeds of tolerance are growing. Who is she kidding? I thought the book would offer a somewhat objective viewpoint on, believe it or not, contemporary Mormonism. All I got was one of their TV commercials that trick you into watching until the end, but in print form. However, there were some instances wherein I learned a few things that cleared up a few misconceptions I had about the Mormon Church. It was surprising to see the scale of converts they have each year, a statistic which the author never failed to mention to show what a great religion Mormonism is becoming. All in all, it was an easy read, but not a worthy one. So who am I? Am I an apologist after all? Many people would be surprised. As one of my stake presidents used to say, The most important thing I've learned is that people are different. People respond differently to the same material. I see us in the church and in this room ranging along a very wide spectrum of opinion, divided by small degrees of difference, and maybe none of you, will agree with me. People are different. I'm a lifelong member of the church, one who knows about the church by study, by work, by observation, and I've watched the church for a good part of 2 centuries now. I've lived in lots of states, attended many wards, know many Mormons. I love the church. I'm a product of the church. Everything I ever needed to know, I learned at church. But, as all of you apologists know, there is a wide gap between what people expect to hear from insiders and outsiders. I'm an insider. I tried to speak to outsiders and be understood. I want us to be able to interact with the real world, to have them see us as real people. I hoped I could bridge the gap, but the gulf is still a brook, too broad for leaping. All this is to say, you may very well agree with what I have to say. What I'm going to talk about is some issues relating to women in the church, and I want to talk about those things without the sentimentality that usually goes with those descriptions. Just where do women in the church stand, those self-sacrificing purveyors of service, that silent majority, that crowd that can never be considered a quorum? Is there an LDS female world? In this day, it is notable that the church's leadership at every level is male. Meetings are run by men in dark suits, as men are recruited, encouraged, refined, groomed, tested, and tried. They become strong leaders. In this churchly kingdom, men are essential. Deep devotion and faithfulness bind men to the church. During difficult years, the students with heavy obligations, still building careers with families of young children, men serve as bishops, spending time they cannot spare. There is no question that this socialization program of scouts, priesthood, missions, education, marriage, and church service is a great success for our men. The pool of seasoned, well-trained, loyal, reliable male leaders in our church is astounding, bottomless, an endless supply of leaders ready to answer any call and serve wherever asked. The church is pro-male, but it is not anti-female. Women, too, serve in the church, tending to be faithful anyway. Women are men's equals in spirituality, intellect, efficiency, human relations, and hard work. The church produces strong, capable women who, like men, serve despite other heavy obligations. But the church doesn't have to work so hard with women, and so they don't. Faithful women do not get the encouragement, the recognition, or the appreciation that men do. Men hold priesthood while women do not. Women, even those in high leadership, ultimately answer to men, while Protestant churches, and at least one branch of Mormonism, the Community of Christ, level gender differences. There are many explanations why. When I once specifically asked President Kimball a parallel question, he said, "Because that's the way we do it." I like the folklore that has arisen to explain the disparity. Some Mormons say that the priesthood is necessary to make the men equal to the women. Others say that keeping the priesthood a men-only club is a good idea because if the women, who are able to do it all, could do it all, the men would recede. Without duties of their own, short of setting up tables and chairs, men might stay home and watch football. I know that's not true of anyone here, spending a full day listening to papers. One convert described this dynamic. I've never seen such active, liberated women as in the church. I've never been to any other church where women spoke equally with the men. I think it is a good thing that men have a separate priesthood and women aren't permitted to participate in it. That must sound strange because I'm a feminist. But look how the women run the Relief Society. Can you imagine if they ran the church? The men would be totally out of a job. Without autonomy, women would seem to have little power in this religion. But what is